Okay, so let's get started. Just bear with me here, folks. I'm just going to organize my screen so we can be ready to share. Okay, so stop the sharing. We're going to go to speaker view, full screen. And here we are. Just going to move my things around. Just one moment, please. Okay, perfect. There you go. Tammy, I also muted your mic. You may have to unmute yourself. Just want to confirm.
You hear me clearly?
Yes, loud and clear. Perfect. Well, folks, good evening. And Tammy and I are really excited to share this information this evening. And one of the reasons for that is it's basically a mirror of what it is that we have gone through and the things that we have been teaching and the things that we have been developing over the years to trial and error, some of the things we've learned, some of the things we modified. And we want to give you, again, some pointers. And I know some of this stuff you've heard before, but again, if you've participated into the GoPro event with Eric Worre, if you've listened to other mentors and other leaders speaking, you probably find that there's a lot of similarity. There's a lot of very familiar concept and topics that are being shared. And my advice is whenever you hear things that you heard before, look at it as these are the gold nuggets. These are the flags that especially when it's repeated among different leaders who have made millions in this industry, which we have. And many of you know, I mean, traveling the world, the things we've owned, the things we've done. I mean, you can't make that up, right? You need to make money for that. So the reality is this is real. And what we want to share with you are how to prepare for massive growth. But it always starts from planting a seed. And when you plant the seed, it requires some TLC, right? Tender, loving care. And we want to talk to you a little bit about some of those things that we still do today, also that we've done in the past. And to give you some guidelines and some base foundation for you to evaluate, okay, what is that you have to do if you want to earn the kind of income that we're talking about. Now, I'm not saying that everybody wants to earn the income that Tammy and I have reached with Max International, and trust me, we're still in our journey. We're far from being finished. But the point here is, I know that many of you would love to do this full time, or at least receive a significant income on a monthly basis or weekly basis, depending on where you're focusing your business. And it's just a wonderful thing to have. But for this to happen, there is some foundation that needs to be established. Tammy, do you want to share a few things before we begin?
No, I think you've said it all. Let's just jump right in. And what we really want to do is talk about some of the principles on building a solid foundation of an organization. And some of you already have existing organizations. Some of you are very new in building your foundation. And some of you may not even have anybody in your team yet, but it doesn't matter what level you are. These are, I guess you could call the constants, Chris, that we've applied over the years. Chris and I sat down one day, this is a couple years back, and we said, what are all the things that contributed to our growth in building this profession? And I don't know if some of you might know, but Max International, we've been with Max right from the very beginning conception of the company, but we also have prior experience of building global businesses. We were very strong in Asia and Mexico in our previous company. And so we came into Max with experience. So we're sitting back and trying to think of all the things that we've done that have really done it. And we're going to share those 12 things with you that I highly recommend to write them down, because as you start growing the team, you'll understand why these are so critical in building relationships and everything within your organization. All
And
righty. So Chris, you want to go ahead and start, or?
sure. And in fact, I mean, as you were saying that, I just had this image. Remember, I think we were sitting, I forgot where we lived. I don't know if we were in transition before we had our property in Toronto. And I remember sitting in our office and asking you the question, what did we do to get to where we are? And then we started describing 12 points. And again, for those of you listening, where you're either on Facebook Live or you happen to be here on Zoom, and thank you for joining us here this evening. If you go back to the activeteamtraining.com, it's a domain that points to our YouTube channel. And if you dig a little bit in a miscellaneous trainings, or even search for how to build a solid foundation, we've done this training back years ago. I forgot it was 2016, 17, or 18. It must have been 15 or whatever. And again, that will give you a more in-depth kind of detail to what I'm about to summarize here. So to prepare for massive growth, you need a strong foundation. So the reality here is that you can recruit people. You know, we've heard of top recruiters in the world and top recruiters in the company. And why is it that they're not top income earners? And again, I'm not pointing fingers. The reason why these things happen is because often they come in the front door, but they leave in the back door. They don't stick around. And why is that? Why does that happen? Well, that's because the foundation, there is some pillars that are either not in place. In other words, some things that are important, which are very important constants, that are not being applied or they're not being done. So I just want to give you a summary of those 12 points. The first one is attitude, right? Your attitude in, for example, when you deal with adversities, right? Do you have this mindset of, you know what, guys, we'll get over that, and let's define what the problem is. Let's find a solution to compensate for the problem so we can keep moving forward until the problem is resolved, opposed to, you know what, this guy's is not clear. I don't like this. This is not fair. But do you understand what I mean? The difference is, do you adjust or do you react? And again, that's why I was suggesting watch this training, because we go in depth into all these different elements when it comes to your attitude. But your attitude will determine your altitude. And I know you heard this before, but that it couldn't be it couldn't be closer to the truth. Not further, but closer to the truth. It's all about your attitude towards challenges, the way you present yourself, the way you handle yourself facing adversities. And I'm not kidding. This is probably one of the most important aspect of the 12 different levels of foundation, is how do you behave around the attitude. And Tammy, you have my notes, right? So you can see what I'm seeing?
Yeah, I can see them, but I just want to add an element to attitude. It's how you show up every day in your business. Are you showing up and just, pedaling around, are you sticking your baby toe in the water to see what the temperature is going to be, or have you made that decision to be the CEO of your own company? Because we all have a position. We're all CEOs of our own organization. We can't look up to see who's doing what for us, or whether they're not doing anything for us, or whatever it is. We need to take ownership of our own organization. We need to take ownership and have the right attitude in that ownership of getting new people in our business and supporting the people that are within, and moving people along. And so these are all the things that are so necessary in business, period, and is to have that right attitude of showing up and being the CEO.
See, many of you have so many skills, right? But there's going to be good days and there's going to be bad days. And if there's a bad day and you're not doing so well, or your mindset may not be in the right space, don't pick up your phone when people call. Let it go in the voicemail, and then return the phone calls when you feel better. I know that sounds a little silly, but I'm telling you, it could save you a lot of trouble in trying to fix things. Because the second point is trust. We know that it takes a lifetime to build trust. It takes 1 second to lose it. We know that. And unfortunately, that is the reality of things. So you could have done 1,000 things right, and the one time you do something wrong because you had a bad day, that could be the element that could break the trust with one of your team leaders. For example, I'll give you a quick example here today on how I deal with situations like this. I've received a phone call from an associate, I'm not going to mention her name, from an associate that signed up with Max probably about 14, 13 years ago. She's been inactive for that long. And she's been following Tammy and I. Her exact word is, we've been following you, and I've been following you and Tammy, and she congratulated us, and she saw us expanding and living in Florida and all this thing, because we met her before all of that stuff. And she was sponsored by one of our team members. And I guess I could have said, sure, I can sponsor you back. But what I told her, I says, you know what? I work really hard to build trust with my organization. And if they hear your name coming into this business, and I took you personally, even though I'm in the right space in doing that, it will create a dent when it comes to my credibility with these individuals. So I decided to call, and I explained to her that, first of all, I don't need to sponsor her personally, because the way the comp plan is designed, it doesn't matter where she's in the team, as long as it's somewhere in my personal sponsorship leg, I benefit equally. All we need to do is reactivate your position and we'll work with you right there. And she understood that. Then I called the old upline that sponsored that person. We had a great conversation. He was very grateful. And you know what? The trust as became even stronger. It's just a quick example on how serious I take this stuff. We're talking like 13 years ago. But for me, it's the relationship I have with that person I did not want to jeopardize. This is an example of being experienced. An experienced sponsor and maybe a less experienced sponsor may behave a little differently. Okay? So that's an example of trust. And the other one, and Tammy, you can certainly touch on that too, is inspiration.
Yeah.
It's really important to help people see bigger, further, longer, because it is so easy to get caught up into the moment and the challenges of today. You know, this past 18 months, or almost 2 years, it's been challenging with this pandemic. It's been tough. Inflation increasing, it's all over the world. How did I deal with situation like this? I create bridge of communication with different leadership, different team. I invite the CEO, I invite corporate members, I invite Tammy, I invite leadership, and we start talking, we find solution. And whole and behold, some amazing solution have been discovered, where if we didn't have that platform of communication with the adjusting opposed to reacting, it would have been destroyed, and it will be down in ashes. It would be in ashes right now. You know our French, I always put H's when you're not supposed to. Ashes. Right? So the fact here is that it's really, really important, right, is to constantly inspire, constantly help the person see past what they may see right now, right? And Tammy, you want to add on that?
It's true. Some people need that inspiration on a daily basis. And I always encourage people to go to YouTube, just put in motivation, inspiration, and just get something that's going to lift you in the moment. Because some people, they need that. I know I need it sometimes. We're human beings, right? So to get inspired, and it's to have a vision board. It's to have your why down pat, and really understand your mission and your purpose of doing what you're doing. That's going to get you up every day and show up as a CEO in your business, regardless whether you do this full-time or part-time. You will show up because you know the big reason of why you're driven to do this business. So that is huge. So that's number 3.
Yeah. And Tammy, you want to do number 4 and 5?
Sure. So going into number 4, unity. That's got to be the biggest thing, I think, Chris, that's really solidified culture within our company, within the organizations. When you bring it all together, no matter what, no matter whether there's sideline, or you're always going to have sideline, because there's always 2 legs and somebody's part of another leg is part of another. There's always going to be sidelines, right? So it's to create that unity, and it's key. I know people. I was talking to an individual in Nigeria, and she was saying that there were people that had left, and they tried different things, and then they contacted her back saying, "There's nothing that has anything even close to what Max has in terms of building a culture around our family, a Max family." And I just talk about it now and I have goosebumps, but I had goosebumps then. That's when you know we're all aligned and willing to help each other no matter what. And that's the kind of organization that you want to build. When you sign people up in the business, don't keep them to yourself. Bring them into the culture, because that's what's going to inspire them. If you show up to these meetings alone, then you're going to get inspired. But if you show up with your team members, I'm telling you, they're going to get lit. It's like everybody who shows up in GoPro. Do you think they're going to walk away in three days just going back to the same old, same old? No, they're going to be on freaking fire, right? So that's what it's about, creating that culture. Number 5, write that down, duplication. I mean, we hear this all the time, but it's simplicity is what gets people to duplicate and replicate. If you're creating anything that's complicated and too many steps, people can't do it. We have to remember network marketing is a volunteer army. Not everybody's committed as you are. Okay, so you have to understand that it has to be simple for the newest person that's coming in. That's why we have our Max Action Plan. We create that simplicity of doing this business. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, Tammy. You're actually correct and dead on. So the fact is, duplication is critical. And folks, if you don't know how to duplicate the activities or the right activities, may I suggest, again, go to activeteamtraining.com. It will take you to the channel and watch the Success Cycle series. Watch them all. You've done it before, do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Listen to it again and again and again and again. I'm telling you, it will resonate. If it doesn't resonate, is you're not concentrating on the elements that are there, because it really contains everything you need. And the point here is, over and above duplication, is congruency. When Tammy and I have seen the biggest momentum we had, it was back in 2016 and 17. It was like a rocket ship. I mean, every day volume was growing by the thousands. It's crazy. I'm not kidding. And I remember something like 3,000 to 4,000 new associates a day. It's still quite high.
Worldwide,
but,
yeah.
But of course, we're talking worldwide here. But you see, this is what I'm talking about. And the reason why is because there was unity. There was duplication. There was congruency. People were saying the same story. But what I find is, as people start earning big incomes and they start creating their own clan, it's called evolution, and they evolve. And this is what we want people to do. But sometimes what happened in this process of evolving, there's transition, and as that transition, we lose the consistency, we lose the congruency. And sometimes what happens is people tend to get also comfortable, and then that layers of duplication stops because the communication stops. And which brings us to a level 7, is good communication. As I stated earlier, what has saved, let me rephrase that, what has helped us maintain momentum in growth in our organization is number 7, communication. That's why I put that on the list, because I never forgot, every time there is challenges, situations, it's all about meeting together, and as we meet together, we communicate ideas and make sure that everybody has a chance to speak. Because often what happens in a group of, let's say, 10 people, there's always going to be 1, 2, or 3 that are going to run the floor. And they talk. And it's not bad, it's good stuff. But then there's a person who's a strong, silent type person, but brilliant ideas, but they're just not comfortable delivering that message. Make sure that you give everybody a chance to speak in your business. That you have 3 in your team, or that you have tens of thousands in your team. When you start creating pockets of leadership, encourage that. Very important. Communication, I cannot stress the importance of that. This is how you prepare for massive growth. I hope you took note from 1 to 7. Communication is very, very important, and make sure everybody has a chance to communicate. Number 8, go ahead.
Of what's going on there with effective communication, we all came together, a lot that are on the Zoom session. We came together because we want to take US and Canada to another level. And then we started brainstorming and campaigns and creating all this excitement, which I'll share a little bit after. But that's an example right there, coming together, everybody wanting to elevate their businesses. So we're communicating, we're creating groups of teams to create campaigns, and I can see and feel the difference in the environment that's being created. And these are the things that need to be done to build and take an organization to another level. Number 8 is mentoring. It's critical to be mentored with no ego, and also to mentor and help the new people get to the levels that they want to get to, and to give them that little bit of a push. Anybody who works with me knows getting that little bit of a push to get out of your comfort zone, and then get things happening, and then another little push, because we all need to be picked up. We all need to be pushed to a level that we know that they can do. That's why we do it. And and just to be there, to be that listening ear when they're challenged. So mentoring is critical, and mentorship is a huge part of why Chris and I are where we are today.
Another thing too.
Yeah, sorry, we have some mentors that we've never met in our life, and I'm sure you do too. I mean, Jim Rohn, I met him one time in my life, and this guy, he saved me every day I would listen to him. He saved me when I had the most difficult time in China. When I was building in my previous company, I was by myself, and I met up with a team member who lived in Montreal but was in China and in Beijing, and I was there for a month, and all I heard was Chinese, except for very little bit of English. So I was in an environment that I don't understand the language. But after I, listened to Jim Rohn every day, I was on my game. And this guy was my mentor. He was my mentor to get me through the challenging times, and we end up exploding. So it was all good.
Yeah. So, yeah. Number 9. Sorry, Tammy, go ahead.
No, it was huge. Yeah, it's important, mentoring.
I agree. I mean, that's another statement. Folks, it's important that, again, mentoring doesn't mean that you have to spend big dollars and find a mentor. You can find a mentor in the books that they've written, audio information, videos. Folks, there's so much out there. But educate yourself. Don't just stand still and kind of day by day, evolve. And some of you have wonderful talents, and it's kind of hidden, and you just need a chance to have it expressed. And it's one of the reasons why sometimes we force some of the team member, not forced, to strongly encourage to do presentations and to go out there, and don't shy away from that, because your voice matters. But I know at first it's uncomfortable. I know you may feel you got to screw up, but that's the thing. And this is something important, is don't be afraid to screw up. In fact, sometimes it actually is good. People like to see people that are out there and trying because themselves are afraid of doing it, right? So very important. The number 9, very important here, is that micromanaging versus leading. That's another one. Often when I see growth potential and I see a leader that have massive potential for growth, but they're not evolving and they're not growing, it's because there's too much control. And I understand the reason for control, because trust me, I like things to be done in a way that I know will be effective. I have this control thing, but I have to step back and just let people be. And by doing that, it's very possible they'll quit. It's very possible they won't do anything. They won't show up because you're not there. But that's the reality of it, is you have to let go. You gotta let people make mistakes. If they don't do it well and they lost an associate because they did something wrong, it's life. But they will learn big time because they want to earn an income. They want to grow their team. They want to grow their businesses. But if you're always around correcting and fixing and doing, you're enabling your team, and your team can't grow around you. That's the reason I put that. Micromanaging versus leading. And it's not easy for us sometimes to say these things. But that's the reality. Is you have to lead, not do for, and always try to correct things. It's okay to correct, but then let them be. And then you come back and you discuss where things could be improved upon. Number 10, one of the reason why, if we go back to 9 years or 8 years ago, we went to Africa, not to repeat the whole story, but I think it's important to bring this into perspective. It was a very first time stepping into this new continent for us. And it happened to be in Ghana. And being a stranger, foreigner, different culture, I felt, okay, what can I do to encourage the people living there to really take this seriously? So what we did is we created an incentive. And we say the first 10 people who reaches the goal level, we will buy you that. And here's the reality. I thought I would have years to buy these things. I remember it took about 3 months, 4 months.
Yeah.
And then I had to buy one iPad. I figured, I calculated the matching check and everything else. And next thing you know, it was 2.
Remember, we had to bring 9 at the same time.
And then I had to bring, at one point, I remember, I had to, it was 8 or 9, I had to buy 9 iPads. And I had to pass that through. It was. I mean, but
somebody help us. Yeah. Oh my
yeah,
God.
I remember they helped us and everything else because they knew we were doing that to help. But the fact here is incentive was one of the main ingredient that got this into momentum. I'm not saying you need to go buy iPads, you guys. This is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you look at the comp plan, let's say you're a bronze. You're making, let's say, $200 a month, just a level of bronze, the first level, okay? And you realize that there's 2 or 3 or 4 people in your team that could hit silver. And that will push you to gold. Well, if you do the math and you start looking at what you will earn, you just take the money you made and give it back in gifts. It's not you paying it out of your pocket. It's coming out of the profits. But being aware of that, you can plan an incentive based on the growth that will generate the volume. That's how it works. Next thing you know, everybody did it. And that's the reason we got into massive momentum. Because one, there was unity, there was duplication, there was congruency, and then everybody started repeating what the leader did. That's how it exploded. And then it starts not bleeding, that's the right example, spreading into other markets. And I remember even before that, when we went to the Philippines, the very first time we went to the Philippines, we wanted to take all the leaders for supper. Remember that, Tammy? We went to a Japanese restaurant.
It was great. Yeah.
Yeah, and we had, I don't know, 60 people,
Oh yeah.
right? But see, what I figured, it was an investment. And that investment really turned out to be profitable for like over a decade. And every time we were going, we went in different cities and we invited a group of people for supper. That was the incentive, and you need to reach a certain bin levels for that. And it was not hard, but it was a step up. So every time we went, if we sat together, if you wanted to be part of the meal, I remember the biggest meal we had, I think we had like almost 70 people for supper. Now remember, in the Philippines in those days, you can really, it would cost maybe $1,000, but we're talking 70 people.
Yeah.
Try to do that in Canada. It'll cost you like 10 grand, right? So
Let's talk a little bit smaller because, you know, we want to make sure that you're understanding the incentives at different levels. So, you know, one of the things that I really, really enjoyed seeing, Lucy did this in Ivory Coast. Maybe Lucy, if you don't mind just sharing that incentive when you did the photo shoot. What did you ask them to do to be part of that photo shoot? What did they have to accomplish? Because she went into Ivory Coast and did a photo shoot with her team, which was unbelievable. It was an amazing photo shoot.
okay, just one moment. I need to put her as a co-host. Okay, Lucy, you can mute and unmute yourself. Go ahead, please.
Well, it was to have fun. And there was many youth. It was mostly youth. And I took team by team also. When there was a leader, I was taking, because when I was going, I asked the people, my leaders, to come with their team. Sometimes they were 12, sometimes they were 20, sometimes they were 5. And when I was going, I was always for at least 7 weeks, 8 weeks. I did once 3 months with Sylvie,
Yeah.
but it was a long time, a long way for 3 months because I won't explain why. But so I always asked them to read. So sometimes I was asking them to come and present the books and things like that. I'm missing that a lot because I haven't gone to Ivory Coast since March 2020 now. I came back, I left in January, came back just as everything closed. So, and we did some shooting, and it was original shooting, and sometimes it cost 10,000 CFA, so it's about $25 to have a shooting there. So it was not a big investment. It was a big investment because I was letting them having a picture of themselves. So sometimes the photograph was taking 5 picture of one at the time, and they had to choose one. I would pay for one picture. They still show the picture on everywhere. The same picture 3-4 years ago, and because they made great picture. And when we go for a photo shoot, I love photo shoot because I did many photo shoots for myself, for my children, with my children, everything. And we discover ourselves. Sometimes we don't know we are beautiful, and when we go to do the shooting, we get in the moon and say, my goodness, I'm beautiful. And that's what I wanted to show them. You are beautiful. You look great. You look this, you look that. And it was really very powerful for them, for their confidence. I was not doing that for me, but me, yes, because I had fun. Because I like shooting. So I said, do this, do that, put your hand like this. And they were surprised to see the effect. So particularly in Africa, it's such a nice thing to do with them. And I already showed some of the shooting picture. And
that's nice.
And it was, and sometimes I said, when I come back, I will go with this group. And they said, yes, we want to go to this group, but we need to ask them to do something. Like last year for GoPro, they said, don't give without asking something else in exchange. They need to do that, then they will get a reward.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Thank you, Lucy.
Yeah, and I saw the culture. I saw them come together. I saw a lot after this photo shoot, and to this day, the relationship that was built through that was really really special. And these are some of the examples that you can do within your team as you start developing a team. And everybody needs professional pictures anyways, to especially with social media today. So this is a great idea. And guess what? When you connect with a photographer, they want to know about Max, right? So everything that I do, everybody knows about Max. So it's part of the marketing strategy. But
Yeah, to put this to a full circle, Tammy, when it comes to incentive recognition, and this is what's important here, guys. It doesn't have to be. I was getting a little maybe eccentric but obviously we were growing, and that's the point. But when you start, it doesn't have to. It could be a meal. It could be a breakfast. It could be anything. It's it could be a little pendant. It could be anything. Right? So, and it's worth it. And this is what is not done enough, is give people that extra little carrot, if you understand what I mean. I'm telling you, it works. It really does work. And if you need help in creating such an environment, trust me, we are good at that. I can really calculate where you are, where you're at, the kind of profit that will come out of this incentives, and you only give the incentive when you reach. So you don't need to spend the money until they reach the pin. You understand what I mean? So we can work with you on that. And this is another part of the ingredients that got us into momentum, that maintain momentum even today. Even this has happened years and years ago. And then at number 11 and 12, 11 is event and belief. When we talked about events, I just filled in the last of the 11 tickets that I bought last year for the GoPro event. Why is that so important? As Lucy stated, she was not able to travel since March of last year. If you remember, that's when all the doors closed. And the fact here is Eric has provided an environment that can compensate the gap of being there and physically doing hotel events and everything else. And you probably noticed what happened in Ghana this weekend. It was a phenomenal event. It was fantastic. It's just starting. But again, are you attending this event? Are you encouraging your team to go to these events? Because these events will actually solidify, inspire, educate people to understand that this is a real business. There's real money here. It's tangible. It's quantifiable. You can go all the way to the bank with this. So very important. And number 12, Tammy, very important.
Gratitude. I mean, we can never stress that enough. We get that there's challenges that are going on in the world today. And I mean, what you focus on always expands, no matter what you focus on, and no matter what you repeat to yourself or you repeat to others. Gratitude is the foundation of love. It's just being grateful for all the people around you, no matter what the circumstances are happening around the news and all the stuff that's happening. Always think of the good things, the possibilities. What you have today, be grateful for what you have right now and move forward. And then, set your goals and your dreams and move towards them, but always be grateful. And that has really served us well. I remember some deep, dark places that I've been in my life, and I'm sure all of you can relate, where I lost myself and I wasn't grateful and I wasn't in a place that I wanted to be. And then I had to, shake myself out of it. I read books that helped me find myself, lots of books that helped me grow in the process. And I'm talking years and years ago. But we've all been there. and you can easily fall back into that based on your environment. So you have to constantly, I do it when I wake up in the morning. I do it before I go to bed. I never miss. So for sure, I know I'm going to be grateful in those times because that's where I am. But even in the day, sometimes I just sit back or just look at something and just remind myself why I'm so grateful. And I'm always, I set intentions a lot, and I don't get emotionally attached. And I think that's important, not to get emotionally attached, but do set intentions, put things out there in gratitude of great things coming your way. And you'd be surprised the things that happen. And sometimes they happen so quick that it'll surprise you and you want to do more of it.
Yeah,
So,
I totally agree.
mhm.
Now, and moving forward, as we keep moving here, I noticed here, Lucy, you're posting all these beautiful pictures into the Mass Canada USA Facebook message group. Gorgeous, gorgeous, beautiful pictures. And you guys can check this out a little later to see what Lucy was talking about. But what's really important, number two here, after talking about the 12 principles and how to build a solid foundation, folks, if you take that seriously, and if you need to go through the entire training, go to the miscellaneous training, and it's there. It's on the Active Team Training. There's so many videos there. If you have a hard time looking for it, let me know, but I know you'll find it. The other point we're going to talk about is know what growth means for you and your team. You need to have a clear. Tammy talked about dream boards and everything else. That's in right, the right mindset is what will your life be like when your company, when your team grows and your profit increases. Take that seriously. This is an important question because that question I ask myself, how am I going to feel? What do I see? And I remember cutting pictures that got me to buy a property that is almost identical to a picture that I had. I always wanted to live in Florida in the winter. It used to be a dream. I mean, it's like a long distant dream that, I was in debt up to my eyeballs. How am I ever going to get there? That's when it started. So the fact here is you need to have a visual. And the fact is, how hard are you going to work to get it? Folks, network marketing is a wonderful business, and it's really interesting. As I was planning, Tammy and I were planning this training here today, often I do research. I go online and I say, how does the corporate world sees that compared to MLM? And it's really interesting because instead of saying employees, it's your team, right? Just changing a few words, and the context of the corporate world matches exactly the network marketing business. And the reason why I'm telling you this, our business is it is a legitimate distribution network. And it just happens that we have products that actually help people. It's a win-win. So what's happening here is, how hard are you willing to work to get there? And not just kind of sit back and watch Netflix because you don't feel like making your phone calls to the invitation for an event. It's to take this seriously because it is a serious business. Are you ready and willing to do what it takes? I know you are. But the people you sponsored, are they? And if they are not, are you looking for people that are willing to take this seriously? And it's okay if they just want to be a customer, because I love my customers. My mom is a wonderful customer. My dad is a great customer, right? And the reality is, it's just not my parents. I mean, I have a trader friend that I've been learning from, who's been using the CellGVD for years. So the fact here is, I love my customers, but also I do need business partners, and I'm aware of that. So develop a recruiting mindset, and Tammy will finish the call with giving you some quick ideas on what we're preparing with this campaign that we're going to be doing on the 29th to as a training to let everybody know what's going on. And this is very, very important. Are you sharing your products every day? And we want to help you do that. At first, it may be uncomfortable, but eventually it will become like breathing air. But you need to start somewhere. And that is so important. Maintaining relationship with your team. Are you doing that? I know many of you have amazing group meetings and relationship among each other, and you're not even necessarily in the same team. So you understand what I'm talking about. But that is also a very important foundation in getting into momentum, is to build a relationship with your team and making sure that they understand that you care for them, and in return they care for you. And that's how I see our team with Max International. And often we call it a family, and it honestly feels like a family because it is a family. What are your thoughts, Tommy, on that?
Oh, definitely. It's definitely a family environment. And yeah, the key is to spend time to get to know your own personal associates. I think a lot of people don't take that time, and they keep moving and keep moving. And it's a great message for all of us, because when a relationship is not built, there's no trust that's being built. And you got to know what drives your people, what inspires your people. Are your people showing up? Why are they not showing up? Why are they not doing the things that, I mean, the reason they joined the business, because they wanted something better in their lives, and you obviously know that. So it's to be able to dig in and build those really, really solid relationships, and find out, ask them how you are as a sponsor or a leader. Get to know them and find out how you can be better. I always did that especially in my Freedom Formative group. I'm always asking, how can I be better? Give me some feedback. I'm learning just like everybody else. Social media, I mean, the last couple of years has been absolutely insane. And I can see some of us are really stepping it up, and congratulations for that, because that's what it takes, is to get out of your comfort zone and do this, but do this with your team. Encourage your teams to get involved and do this and do the activities. And you'll see, you're going to grow together. You're going to have fun together. You're creating that culture together. I mean, we can go on and on and on, but that's what it's about. If you want to get your team moving, you got to have those solid relationships and find out what it is that they want from this, and how you can serve without doing it for them.
Yeah, I agree. So take care of your people. Really, really important. Focus also on personal growth. I know I touched on that earlier. Really, focus on educating and evolving. And it is so important. And very important, focus on your core business, folks. Don't get distracted. There's a lot of companies out there. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of leaders, and they all have agendas. They all have different, ways of doing things. Excuse me. Ways of doing things. Lasagna was so awesome, but I think I ate too fast. So what's happening here is, at this point, what I'd love to do is for Tammy to touch on briefly. We're not going to go into a lot of details, but on the campaign that we're preparing for December, that really it's designed to launch in 2022, but we're post preparing for this in December to start getting into a momentum, so the wave carries on back in the new year. So I'll turn over to you, Tammy.
Yeah, so it's aligned with the subject tonight, how to prepare for massive growth. We're in a business, and in business there is investments. And our investment, I mean, is basically products, right? I mean, other than that, we're all working from home. We don't have to pay for offices. We don't have to pay for, there's our phone, of course, we're in business. We got to get some marketing stuff, but all of this is tax deductible. We need to work with our products. And the goal in December is to get the products out of the cupboards, wherever they're hiding, and to get them on the table and start being creative. And I'm saying this now because November 29th, which is going to be a Go for Diamond call, we're going to be talking about a launch of this December 1st campaign, which is going to last for 12 days. And it's all about giving and it's all about selling. Okay. You want to get products in people's hands. People are buying right now, right? They're looking for ideas right now. The malls are going to start getting busy. I mean, the people are looking for it, and everybody knows the importance of having a strong immune system and being healthy, great stocking stuffer ideas. So these are the things that you want to be prepared to do. Get your products out, invest in products. It's tax deductible. It's the end of the year. So you've got your tax deductions for 2021, right? So I just brought a couple of them out so you can see, just simple things, you guys. I went to the dollar store, I went to Walmart. I know, Beth, you got some really cool stuff too, and Lucy, because we're part of the campaign together with Chuck and Chris, and the girls are creating these little things, little chocolate. There's a little candy cane in there, just a little bit of Enfuse ATP to give away in gratitude to customers, or I can give them to a neighbor for being a great neighbor, or somebody who's dry cleaning. These are all relationship building gifts, and they're tax deductible. You have to keep that in mind, right? And just the littlest things, you guys, like really so simple. If you want to sell them and you can't afford to give gifts, sell your product, sell it at cost, and get people on the product because people are buying right now. This is an example of an intro pack that we always buy those intro packs, Chris and I, as soon as we get that normally look like this. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's the Cellgevity intro packages. I think it's $250. But if you decide to get some, make sure that you get the one that has full volumes, right? Because there's a sign up packages with the intro pack. But if you're just buying it to get an order in to get products, make sure you get the full volume package. And it's not an enrollment package. So normally we would make these, right? So I just moved it into a Christmassy thing. Put a little bit of chocolate in there, a little candy cane in there. And there's going to be a nice little card in there that we're creating, a little Christmas card. So just little things that you can give or sell. And I'm telling you, banks who have staff, business owners who have staff. I'm just kind of throwing out ideas to you, but they're always looking for ideas to give gifts to their staff members. Might as well get them to give gifts to keep their employees healthy so they don't call in sick. Just little ideas. Start being creative right now. And after this session, start writing down some creative ideas that you can do to get business, number one, and also who do you have that you could say thank you to throughout the holidays and make something nice for them.
So here's a call to action. Oh, sorry, Tammy, go ahead.
Yeah, so prepare for that. If you already have a bunch of products, get them out. Start creating this. Write a list of the people. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm writing all these lists of people that I know, how I can move products, how I can give products, and go from there.
So here's a call to action. I know that many of you're probably thinking, well, who am I going to give these gifts? Like, I don't want to bother people, and you know how it is. Here's what I recommend you do. Make a list of the people you do business with. Your hairdresser, your banker, the person that you see every week or every 2 weeks when you do your groceries. Think of things like that. And make a list of all these people. And I'm not kidding, but if every one of you do that, you are going to be surprised on how effective this campaign is going to be for you. So it's up to you. What we're telling you, we're giving you the foundation. Now we're giving you some steps for you to start preparing the new year and recruiting or either customers or associates, which of course it's geared towards customers. But the thing is, customers are hot leads. You understand? That's the purpose here. That's the point. Because they know the product. And once they know the product and they get good results, if they have the slightest bone of entrepreneurship in their body, the thought will be there. Maybe I could get enough money to pay for my products because I really like these products. And who knows how this could lead or how far this will be. So every one of you, make a list of everybody you do business with. Get yourself a little package. And again, on the 29th, we'll go more details because Chuck created an amazing survey in English, in French, in Spanish to help your customers get a feel for what they have in their hands. We're going to have testimonies, all easy access for you to pass on, just to text your person, right? Give you a quick example. You go to your banker, says, you know what, Mary or John or Jeffrey, or I really appreciate all the service and how welcoming you make me feel, whatever you feel is appropriate to share. You know the person. Give him that gift. And at this point, and from there, I look forward to hear back from you. These products have done such an impact in my life, and I wanted to give that to you. And then from there, you can follow up with a little survey. What are your thoughts? And let him fill in the survey. And you need more information. Oh, I need to speak with my doctor before I take this. Send some testimonials, and we're going to have a variety of testimonials from different kind of walks of life. Some are going to be medical. You know what I mean by medical, right? You'll know what I mean. Some testimonials that will complement and help this person see what they have in their hands. And if you do these simple things that are not that hard to do, if you have a relationship with the person, you might be surprised on the outcome that you'll have in the new year when all of this begins. And I hope you participate because it will serve you well. So any other thoughts, Tammy, you want to end with before we end the call?
We gave a lot.
Okay, wonderful.
Just take action on this stuff. And as you start developing a team, you've got that foundation right there in front of you on how to build those strong, solid relationships.
I totally agree. And again, Tammy and I are always grateful for you coming in. It means a lot to us that you take this seriously and you come and listen to us every single week. And if you are not able to make it on that evening, of course you can watch the recording. But we want to thank you for that. And but we know what this has done for us, and we know what this can do for you. But you're the only, like Tammy said, it's a free army. We can't tell you what to do. We can simply give you suggestions and some ideas. Now, I believe Lucy has risen her hand. I'm going to give an opportunity, Lucy, for you. You should be able to unmute, Lucy, because you do have moderator access. So please go ahead.
The first picture, I would just want to tell you, the first picture, I was 66 years old. And the last one was when I close to be 70. So we can have fun anytime.
I love it. Thank you, Lucy. We really appreciate that.
So
awesome.
Great memories.
Yeah, it certainly is. So everybody have yourself a wonderful evening. We look forward to the next call next week. Thank you for attending. And remember, mark the November 29th. We're going to be having a call and really launching the campaign. So we hope you're gonna decide to participate. So have yourself a wonderful evening, everybody. And we'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Have a great week.